like to see this drive, like to go with me on this drive. was playing Smokey and the Bandit. And people there wanted me to blow the horn, which I did. Blew the horn. And when you're driving, you know, you see a lot of stuff. The worst thing I ever saw was just absolutely horrible. It never believed me. I was driving and this car was coming up next to me.